I'm pregnant, and it's James's baby, my sister Amanda announced loudly, silencing the guests at my engagement party. I froze, my champagne glass still in my hand. Everyone turned to look at her. She stood there in a blue dress, one hand on her stomach. Beside me, James turned pale, his grip on my waist loosening. My name is Olivia Parker. I'm 28 years old, and in that moment, I watched my perfect life fall apart. The fairy lights we had hung earlier now felt like they were mocking me. It's been happening for months, Amanda continued, crying. We never wanted to hurt you, but we're in love. People turned to me, waiting for a big reaction, but I stayed quiet. I had learned long ago that silence could be more powerful than words. Olivia, sweetheart, my mom said, stepping forward. We need to talk about this as a family. Amanda is going through a hard time. Of course she was. Amanda was always the one needing understanding. When she crashed my car, when she maxed out my credit card, when she ruined my graduation dress. And every time, I was expected to forgive her. She's your sister, my dad added. But his concern was for Amanda, not me. She was now crying into James's chest. My fiancé, the man I had trusted. Calmly, I placed my glass on the table. Excuse me, I said and walked toward the house. Olivia, wait. My mom followed me into the kitchen. You can't just leave. Amanda is pregnant. This changes everything. I looked at her, my voice steady. You're right, it does. She sighed in relief. Then you understand. We need to support Amanda. She's fragile. I almost laughed. Even now, it was all about Amanda. I understand, I said, picking up my car keys. Where are you going? She asked in panic. We need to talk. Amanda has you, I replied. She always has. As I walked to my car, James called my name. I didn't turn around. I didn't cry. I didn't give them the satisfaction of seeing me break. Instead, I drove to the one place I knew I could think clearly, my grandmother's cottage by the lake. What no one knew was that I had suspected this for weeks. James's secret texts, his unexplained meetings, Amanda's sudden illnesses, it all made sense. But I hadn't just suspected. I had prepared. 2 weeks ago, I hired a private investigator. 1 week ago, I moved my important belongings into a safety deposit box. 3 days ago, I started removing James from our joint accounts, and yesterday, I convinced him to take a DNA test, pretending it was for insurance. Sitting on my grandmother's porch, I ignored the flood of messages from James, Amanda, and my parents. Instead, I called the one person who had never believed Amanda's lies, my Aunt Sarah. I saw Amanda's little show on Facebook Live, she said. She always loved drama. She says she's pregnant, I told her. So she says, Aunt Sarah replied. But you didn't call me just to cry, did you? No, I said, sitting up straighter. I need your help. Does it involve making Amanda and James regret this? It might. I'm in, she said. What's the plan? For the first time that night, I smiled. First, we wait for the DNA results. Then, we show them what real family loyalty looks like. That night, as I lay in bed, my phone finally stopped buzzing. My family probably thought I was somewhere crying, waiting to forgive them. They thought they knew me, the quiet, responsible one who always put family first. But they have forgotten something. I was also my grandmother's granddaughter, and she had taught me that sometimes the quiet ones are the most dangerous. I opened her old journal, the one where she had written about handling betrayal and getting justice. Sometimes, dear, she had written, the best revenge is letting people think they've won, until they realize they've lost everything. I smiled. Amanda had chosen the moment to ruin my life, but I would choose the moment to reveal the truth. The DNA results would arrive in 2 months. Until then, I had work to do. The next 2 months tested my patience. I watched from a distance as Amanda and James played the happy couple, fully supported by my parents. Amanda even moved into my old apartment, the one I had shared with James, while I stayed at my grandmother's cottage, quietly putting my plan into action. They're telling everyone you had a breakdown. Aunt Sarah told me one morning over coffee. Amanda's acting like the caring sister, stepping in to support James while you recover. I calmly stirred my coffee. What else? They're having an engagement party next week. Your mother is calling it a celebration of new beginnings. Aunt Sarah rolled her eyes. Linda's pretending you never existed. That was my mother's specialty, rewriting history. Now she'd had turned me into the unstable one, while Amanda was the responsible sister creating a happy family. If only they knew what I had found. The private investigator's report had everything: hotel security footage, time-stamped photos, credit card statements, but the most important detail: medical records that would soon change everything. "Are you sure about this?" Aunt Sarah asked as I looked over the documents. "Once you do this, there's no going back. Your relationship with your parents was over the moment they chose Amanda's lies," I said. Again, my phone buzzed. A notification from the lab. The DNA results were ready. The timing was perfect. Tonight was Amanda and James's engagement party, hosted by my parents at their country club. The same place where, 3 months ago, James had proposed to me. "Ready?" Aunt Sarah asked as we parked outside. I smoothed my black dress. Power, not warning. Absolutely. Even from the entrance, I could hear the party. Amanda's laugh rang out, and my mother's voice proudly introduced her expecting daughter and future son-in-law. Then silence. "Olivia," my mother said, forcing a smile. "This is a private party." "I won't stay long," I said. "I just came to share some news." Amanda stepped forward, her hand protectively over her growing belly. "Haven't you caused enough drama? We're trying to celebrate." I smiled, remembering my grandmother's advice. Let them think they've won. I actually brought a gift. I pulled an envelope from my purse. James's DNA test results. James, who had been standing stiffly since I arrived, went pale. "That was for insurance," he stammered. "It's private." "Oh, but family matters should be discussed openly," I said, using my mother's favorite phrase. "Right, Mom?" My father stepped in, his face angry. "That's enough, Olivia. You're making a scene." "No," I said quietly. "Amanda made a scene at my engagement party. I'm just finishing it." I opened the envelope slowly. "These results show something interesting. Something that makes it impossible for James to be your baby's father." Amanda's face drained of color. Behind her, James looked confused, then shocked, then furious as the truth hit him. "You're lying," Amanda whispered. "Science doesn't lie," I said. "But you do. About the pregnancy. About James. About everything." "Amanda." James's voice was hoarse. "What is she talking about?" I pulled out another document. "The investigator found your medical records. You had fertility treatments 3 months ago with your ex-boyfriend, Michael. The one you've been secretly seeing." Gasps and whispers filled the room. My mother swayed, reaching for support. "The timing is perfect," I continued. "You got pregnant right after James and I announced our engagement, and since Michael left you, I let the meaning sink in." "You planned this?" James asked Amanda, his voice rising. "All of it." Tears welled in Amanda's eyes, her usual move. "I was desperate. Michael left, and I saw how happy you were with Olivia. I thought. You thought you could steal my fiancé, lie about the baby's father, and have our parents cover for you," I finished. "And you were right. They did." I turned to my parents, who stood frozen. "You didn't even question it, did you? You just believed Amanda, like always." "We didn't know," my mother whispered. "You didn't want to know," I corrected. "You never do with her." The room had fallen completely silent. Even Amanda had stopped crying, realizing there was no way out. "You knew all along?" James asked, his voice shaky. "I suspected," I said. "Amanda's never been as clever as she thinks. And you've never been good at keeping secrets." Aunt Sarah stepped forward, her heels clicking on the polished floor. "I think," she said loudly, "this party is over." James stormed out. Amanda sobbed. My parents stood helplessly, trying to salvage what was left. No one looked at me. "Grandmother would be proud," Aunt Sarah said as we walked to the car. I thought of her journal, her lessons on patience and justice. Yes, I agreed. She would. But this wasn't over. The DNA test and medical records were just the beginning. There were more truths to reveal, more lessons to be taught. Amanda had always been the star of our family's show, but now I was in control of the final act. The fallout from the country club revelation was more satisfying than I had imagined. Within days, Amanda's carefully built world fell apart. James moved out of our old apartment immediately, leaving Amanda alone with her lies. Her ex-boyfriend, Michael, the real father of her baby, wanted nothing to do with her. And my parents? They finally had to face the consequences of their choices. One day, my mother found me at the grocery store. "She's not eating," she said. "She needs her sister." I kept picking apples, not looking up. "No, what she needs is to face the truth. Something you never made her do." "We made mistakes," she admitted, her voice shaking. "But she's still your sister." I finally met her gaze. "And I was still your daughter every time you chose her over me." Then came another revelation, this one from Aunt Sarah. Over dinner, she shared what she had discovered. "Your father has been paying Amanda's credit card bills for years," she said, "including the hotels where she met Michael while you and James were engaged." I shouldn't have been surprised, but it still hurt. So they knew. They suspected. Aunt Sarah corrected. But questioning Amanda was never their way. I thought about all the times I had worked extra hours to pay for college, while Amanda's expenses were always covered without question. It was clear now, they hadn't just enabled her behavior, they had funded it. 3 weeks after the engagement party, I got an unexpected visitor. James stood on my grandmother's porch, looking exhausted and ashamed. "I'm not here to apologize," he said quickly. "I mean, I am sorry, but I know it doesn't change anything." "Then why are you here?" He ran a hand through his hair, a nervous habit I used to love. "I'm leaving town. Taking that job in Seattle. I needed you to know that you were right. About everything." I leaned against the doorframe. "Not everything. I thought you loved me." His flinch said it all. After he left, I sat on the porch swing where grandmother used to tell me stories. Her journal lay open in my lap, and one passage stood out. "The greatest victory isn't in destroying those who hurt you, but in rebuilding yourself stronger than before." Then came the final twist, one that changed everything. One morning, Aunt Sarah arrived with a stack of legal papers. "I found these in Mother's safety deposit box," she said, spreading them on the table. "Looks like grandmother left you more than just the cottage." The documents revealed a trust fund in my name, one meant to help with my wedding and a future home. She had also kept records of every dollar my parents had taken from her to cover Amanda's expenses over the years. "There's a letter for you," Aunt Sarah added, handing me an envelope. In grandmother's neat handwriting, it read, "My dearest Olivia, if you're reading this, they finally pushed you too far. Use these documents wisely. Sometimes the best revenge is letting people face the consequences of their own actions." I followed her advice. My lawyer sent copies of the financial records to my parents with a simple note. The truth has a way of revealing itself. 2 days later, Amanda moved back home, her perfect future in ruins. My parents could no longer deny what they had done. "What do you want from us?" my father asked over the phone, his voice heavy with defeat. "Nothing," I said honestly. "I don't want anything from you anymore." That was the real victory, not punishing them, but freeing myself. 6 months later, I sold my share of the family property. Amanda tried to fight it, but the documents were airtight. I used the money to buy a small bookstore near the cottage, something I had always dreamed of but never pursued because my parents wanted me to be practical. Aunt Sarah helped me renovate, and on opening day she gave me a special gift. Grandmother's journal, rebound in leather with a new inscription. For Olivia, who learned that the quietest voice often speaks the loudest truth. I keep the DNA test results in my desk drawer, not as a reminder of betrayal, but as proof of my strength. Amanda still lives with our parents, her baby due any day now. I hear things about them sometimes, but their drama no longer touches me. Last week, I got a wedding invitation from James. He's marrying someone new in Seattle. I sent it back unopened. Some chapters are better left closed. Now, as I sit on the cottage porch watching the sunset over the lake, I finally understand what grandmother meant about victory. It's not about winning the fight, it's about choosing your own path forward. Amanda's betrayal didn't break me. It set me free, and that is the best revenge of all.